Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So how about that episode? Chapter 9 did not disappoint at all. I mean, the feel of this episode just took me back to that galaxy far, far away. I felt like a kid again, and it was awesome just to be part of an incredible Star Wars adventure. I am so excited to talk about it, and spoilers ahead, obviously, but I mean, I guess the title and the thumbnail gave it away. But hey, it's all over social media and YouTube, and Facebook, and Twitter. It's everywhere. So is this really a spoiler? I mean, it was spoiled for me. I woke up in the morning and I took my phone to the bathroom and bam, first thing I see, boom, Boba Fett is back. I really should have stayed up until midnight to watch it. Anyway, so in this episode we're going to be breaking down that ending where we saw Boba Fett in the flesh and try to figure out just how he got out of that Sarlaac pit. But before we get started, remember to subscribe to stay up to date with everything on the channel. So first off, there was a ton in this episode that I really enjoyed. I love the fight scene in the beginning where Mando was using his Beskar not only as a defense, but as a weapon as well. I mean, the showrunners have done such a great job showing the importance of Beskar and how vital it is to a Mandalorian's life. I also loved the little Easter eggs that they put in there, like R5 with its bad motivator, and then Cobb Vanth, the Marshal, using a pod racer as his speeder. Just little things like that made this episode feel like it really belonged in that universe. I also especially loved the Crate Dragon. Gosh, I loved seeing that in real life. It brought back some serious Knights of the Old Republic vibes. I also loved how we got to see a Crate Dragon Pearl, one of the rarest items in the galaxy. At first I thought, you can't fit that into a lightsaber. But then I remembered that lightsabers exist and you'd probably be able to cut the pearl down to whatever size you need. But honestly, this whole episode was amazing, and if you haven't seen it yet, well then what are you doing watching this? Go and look at it and see it and watch it if you can. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. However, the best moment of this episode came at the very end when we saw Temuera Morrison as an older Boba Fett. It was great to see Boba Fett again because, well, the last time we saw him really wasn't his finest hour. Also, I've seen a few people say that this is Captain Rex. Now, as much as I would love that, it isn't. Rex would be in like his 80s at this point and would still probably have his whole white beard thing going on. Not to mention Rex has no reason to be on Tatooine, but Boba does. So yeah, this is definitely Boba, not Rex. But how is Boba Fett even there? Like, how did he even get out of the Sarlaac pit to begin with? Well, there are a couple of theories, but in Legends, the story is absolutely insane. So, after the events of Return of the Jedi, where Fett was bested by a blind Han Solo and fell into the Sarlaac pit, many in the galaxy thought him to be dead. However, not long after the battle, Fett was able to muster his way out of the Sarlaac, thanks in part to his Beskar armor, jetpack, and his iron will to stay alive. Fett did not, however, get out of the Sarlaac pit without serious consequences. The trauma that the Sarlaac put him through left him lying in the desert, unaware of what was happening. It was actually a group of Jawas who happened upon the bounty hunter and ended up saving his life. The Jawas took Fett in and, unaware of what to do with him or even what he was, claimed him by placing a restraining bolt on his armor. When Boba finally woke up, he had no memory of who he was, but there was someone on board the Sandcrawler who did. Apparently, the Jawas had been busy and they had captured R2-D2 and were planning to sell the droid for parts. But their plans were foiled when Han Solo and Princess Leia raided the crawler, attempting to get R2-D2 back. Solo immediately recognized the bounty hunter, but Boba Fett had no recollection of who Han was. Han didn't want to leave the helpless man to die, so instead, he tried to rescue Fett from the Jawas. Unfortunately for him, all of Boba Fett's memories came back, as he heard Leia shouting Han's name again and again and again. Boba shot at Han and missed, causing Han to push him back into the Sandcrawler, which then again fell into the same Sarlaac pit. Crazy, I know. Now, back in the Sarlaac pit, Boba Fett knew that he had to get out. Boba befriended a fellow captive called Suseho, who was actually a psychological manifestation of the Sarlaac. Using his friendship to his advantage, Boba convinced the Sarlaac to contract itself around his jetpack, causing the weapon to explode and providing him with a means of escape. The resulting explosion in Sarlacc stomach acid left Boba on the verge of death. until he was found by another fellow bounty hunter, Dengar. Dengar brought Boba back to his home, where he nursed him back to health, and the two of them actually became really good friends. And that's it. That is the Legends explanation of how the great Boba Fett escaped from the Sarlaac. He was pushed in by a blind Han Solo once, and then he was pushed in by Han Solo again. Man, Boba must really hate Han. If only they could make a movie about Boba trying to get his revenge. Oh yeah, Solo 2. Too bad that'll never happen. So, anyway, usually I like Legends way more than canon, but in this case, I'm hoping that they come up with something better than he fell in and got out, and then fell in again and got out again. I mean, maybe they could, have Boba get out just like he did the first time by sheer willpower and by the protection of his Beskar. It would add another layer of importance for Boba Fett and his armor, which is kind of what the whole episode alluded to anyway. I can also see them saying that he had a brutal fight with the beast, flamethrower, blaster, rockets, the whole arsenal had to be used in order to take it down. I think it would be really cool to see Boba Fett take down a Sarlaac. Highly unlikely, but you never know. Maybe he befriended the Krayt Dragon, and the Krayt Dragon, ate the Sarlaac, and that's how he got out. I don't know. However, what I personally theorized happened is that Boba Fett fell into the pit. And while, yes, he escaped, he also knew how to take advantage of this opportunity. Everyone in the galaxy, Empire, Rebels, Bounty Hunters, everyone who knew Boba knew how dangerous he was, that he was a threat. Boba more than likely had a few prices on his head, especially after the Empire fell. And now everyone thought he was dead. It was perfect. Boba Fett escaped the pit, fighting off the Sarlaac using everything he had. Once he escaped, he was still weary from his fight, and a group of Jawas stole his armor. Boba Fett would have pursued them, but instead he chose a different path. It was time for him to start over. Not as a pawn in someone else's game, but finally able to live his own life outside the shadow of his father, the great Jango Fett. The real question is, how does Boba Fett being alive affect the Star Wars universe? I mean, think about it. This clone of Jango Fett has seen Kamino and the creation of the Clone Army. He lived through the Clone Wars and the Great Jedi Purge, where he saw those clones, his brothers in a sense, wipe out the Jedi Order. He has served with the Emperor and fought with Imperial forces on several occasions. He has been in the same room as Jedi, Sith, Imperials, Rebels, everyone. If anyone knows something about where to find people, it's probably Boba Fett. And that is what is so great about Boba Fett being back. It provides a way for so many people to come into The Mandalorian. I cannot wait for Chapter 10 next week to see how Boba Fett, Din Djarin, and Baby Yoda all unite. It is so good for Star Wars to be back, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. Well, that's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think will happen with Boba Fett? How do you think he got out of the Sarlaac pit? Also, remember to like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And get your friends to sub too. The channel is still growing, so every little bit helps. And remember to forever be a Star Wars fan.